How can a text that's over 2,600 years old speak to a kind of pain that feels so intensely, painfully modern? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. And it all starts not with ancient words, but with a modern cry of anguish that just demands to be heard. You're hearing the words of Leslie McSpadden, spoken while her son Michael Brown's body lay on the street in Ferguson, Missouri. And you know, this isn't just a question born out of grief. It's an accusation. It's a summons. It's a raw demand for accountability, aimed at both the powers here on earth and the powers of heaven. This is a cry that just refuses to accept easy answers or cheap comfort. So what happens when that cry goes out? And the answer that comes back is, well, nothing, just silence. This is really the heart of our explainer today, grappling with that profound, often agonizing experience of divine silence when we're faced with suffering, and what it might actually mean. Well, it turns out that modern cry has this incredible, startling parallel from way, way back. We find it in the biblical book of Lamentations, a text that you can read not just as a poem about grief, but as a 2,600-year-old lawsuit leveled directly at God. Here, we're hearing the voice of a figure called Daughter Zion, who personifies the totally devastated city of Jerusalem. And listen to what she's saying. This is not a plea for mercy. This is a forensic demand. She is literally presenting the violated bodies of her children as evidence and directly accusing God. She is the plaintiff, a mother, and she is demanding an answer, period. Now, this legal move has a name, and it's absolutely crucial to understanding what's going on here. It's called an inverted rib, or a covenant lawsuit. See, normally, you'd have God as the judge or the prosecutor, and humanity as the one on trial. But here, whoa, the roles are totally flipped. The victim is prosecuting the divine sovereign. The whole book is basically this unresolved courtroom drama. So the stage is set, right? On one side, you have the plaintiff, Daughter Zion, the mother whose world has been violated. And on the other, the accused, God, the silent sovereign, the one who, according to the book's own logic, allowed all this to happen. The trial is underway. The accusation is on the table. So what is the defendant going to say? Okay, so this is where the whole story takes a really unexpected turn. The source material argues that the most mysterious part of the book, chapter 3, isn't God's answer or some kind of comforting speech. Instead, it's a deliberate, calculated act of divine non-response, a choice to not answer. And to really get how radical this is, you have to look at other laments from that time. There was this kind of standard playbook. A maternal goddess would cry, a high god would listen and change his mind, and the city would get put back together. But Lamentations, it just throws that playbook out the window. Here, the maternal figure accuses, God is silent, and, this is the key, the trial remains open. There is no neat and tidy restoration. So this silence, it's not just that God is quiet. It's not an empty space. The text paints it as something active. God isn't just not listening. He's described as wrapping himself in a cloud to literally block prayer from getting through. So this isn't just God being absent. According to the text, it's God actively refusing to engage. And the text really doubles down on this idea, weaving it right into the language itself. The male speaker in chapter 3 talks about his own suffering using words that are meant to make you think of Zion's violation. The word for his affliction isn't just about pain, it's about humiliation, about violation. He says he's walled in, just like a city under siege. His prayer is actively shut out. It's like his body becomes a living, breathing extension of the city's own violation. So, okay. If this ancient trial is still open, has anyone else stepped up to the witness stand? The source argues, yeah, absolutely. This very unique posture of unresolved lament has been lived out for centuries, especially in the witness of Black mothers as they confront racial injustice. What you're seeing here is what the source calls a kind of lived interpretation of this ancient text, a living history. You can trace it back to the spirituals born during enslavement, songs that don't try to explain away God's silence, but just name it. It moves forward to Mimi Till Bradley, who literally turned her own son's funeral into a public trial. Then you have the powerful testimonies of people like Fannie Lou Hamer, and it carries all the way through to today with the mothers of the movement, who continue to demand accountability in the face of silence. And Mimi Till Bradley's words, wow, they just echo right across the centuries, don't they? Let the people see what I've seen. It's almost a perfect modern version of Daughter Zion's cry to see, O Lord, and look. When she insisted on that open casket for her son Emmett, she was doing exactly what Daughter Zion did. She was presenting the violated body as evidence. She forced the world and heaven to look, refusing to let that violence be swept under the rug. She refused to let the trial be adjourned. So, what does all of this mean? What's the big takeaway here? Well, it's pretty profound. Reading Lamentations this way can totally redefine how we think about solidarity, and maybe even the idea of hope itself. Here is a challenging idea. What if God's silence isn't abandonment? What if it's what's called risked solidarity? The idea is that by remaining silent, God refuses to just offer up some easy, cheap comfort from a safe distance. Instead, by not giving a simple answer, God stays in it, stays implicated in a suffering, right there in the courtroom with the one who is crying out for justice. And this completely flips our whole idea of hope on its head. So hope, in this sense, isn't some sunny optimism that everything is going to be okay. Hope is the embodied grammar of unrelieved grief. It's that defiant, faithful act we see in Mamie Till Bradley, in Leslie McSpadden, in Daughter Zion. It's the refusal to accept a quick and easy resolution. It's staying in the courtroom and demanding an answer until justice is finally actually served. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. In a world that is so full of pain that just defies easy answers, what if real hope isn't about getting the verdict we want? What if hope is the courage, the refusal to adjourn the trial?